You mentioned your parents before. I know in part, at least, your sense of humour came from your dad. You were telling me when we spoke earlier in the week about the gorilla suit. Tell us about the gorilla suit and what you wanted to do with your dad at his funeral.
Well, Dad had a gorilla suit. Now, don't ask me why a man would have a gorilla suit in the back of his car, but he did. And we used to go on drives and he'd see people playing tennis or whatever. So he'd get out of the car, get into the gorilla suit and creep up on them and jump out of the bushes and frighten the hell out of them. And he thought it was funny and I thought it was the funniest thing. I know Mum got a laugh out of it, but then when Dad passed, I wanted to have a gorillagram. And Mum said, "We can't do that." I said, "Oh, we can. Let's have it." And she wouldn't give in on it. And so Dad didn't get his gorillagram at his funeral, but I got it for my 60th birthday.
Welcome to The Final Encore, a show exploring the life and legacy of some of Australia's most interesting characters as they step into our studio funeral parlour to reflect on their life by planning for their death. I'm your host, Sam McConkey, and with me in studio today is the legendary Denise Drysdale. Denise almost needs no introduction. She's an icon of Australian TV, appearing in shows like The Ernie Siegler Show, In Melbourne Tonight, Hey Hey It's Saturday, Studio 10, Denise, and a number of others. She's won multiple gold Logies, she's been immortalised on a stamp, and to many, many Australians, my mother very much included, she represents all that is good and holy about Australian TV. Denise, it's a real pleasure. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Lovely introduction.
We're here to talk about your funeral, but before we get there, I want to start talking about death generally. Loaded topic for some. You're very comfortable talking about it. Your family may say too comfortable talking about it. How would you describe your own attitude towards death?
My attitude is that it's inevitable and that it doesn't matter what you do or how you are in your life, it's coming for you, so you might as well plan for it.
Is there been particular moments in life, kids, health battles that have shaped that, or you just came out of the womb pragmatic?
In the 60s and 70s, we were rat bags, right? And I used to say I'd be lucky to make 30, and here I am 75. So I was probably back then, that's when it started. But I don't think I felt like that when I came out of the womb, but I've just been like that. So every year's a bonus.
You've had some public health battles recently. Has it changed your perspective on life or death at all?
Not really. No, it's I did have one thing that's called the suicide disease, which was trigeminal neuralgia, and it's like electric shocks in your head. And it's so painful. And I had it for a year and a half, and then I finally had to bite the bullet and have a brain operation.
Oh, wow.
Now, as soon as anybody says brain operation, you think, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh, someone's going in there, wonder what they'll find. But I did it, and the next day, all the pain went straight away.
All gone?
I was so lucky because it doesn't happen with everybody that has the op.
When you were going into it, were you aware of like the significance of the surgery?
Oh yeah, they always put it at the end, and you know, possible side effects and everything, and then right at the end, death. But I made sure that, I'm like this, I made sure I was doing Studio 10 for the 2 days before I went in for the op, so they paid for the airfare, and I was staying with Jess, and so I just went straight from there because I had it done in Sydney with the best bloke.
You're obviously incredibly funny. It's a little hard to sit here because I'm sort of expecting what's coming next. What role do you think humour plays in death and funerals?
Well, I always wanted to have a business called Fun Funerals because it's really somebody dying, it's sad and they're gone. But what you've got to do is remember the good things about them and the laughs that you've had with them. Like I can still talk to my mum and dad, and I've got little tiny containers that I take them with me. Yeah. They went into the jungle.
I saw that. Your luxury item on Get Me Out of Here.
Dad went first, so he's travelled everywhere with me. He's been up in a hot air balloon over South Africa, and then Mum goes now. So they're just things. I don't think anyone ever leaves you because you've got the memories. My father was the funniest person ever, and so was my mum. So that stays with you, and that's humour is so important.
We're going to get into your relationship with your parents in a little bit. You've been to a few funerals recently. We all have. What makes a good funeral for you?
Oh, the sandwiches after, I suppose. But I don't like going to funerals because I do get emotional. So I do try not to go to any. I can't remember the last one I went to. I think it was Paddy's mum, but that was beautiful. That was in the church. And no, I try not to go to funerals.
You've more so than most planned out, or at least thought about your own funeral. Before we get into specifics, give us a sense for the vibe. What are we thinking?
My funeral, a friend gave it to me. It's prepaid. And to me, it was like, oh, wow, the last bit of the puzzle. I've got my super, I've got my car, house is paid for, prepaid funeral. Fabulous. What a thoughtful gift.
And what's the vibe? What are you going for with the prepaid
I'm
funeral?
going for fun.
Yeah.
I've got beautiful pajamas that I've had for ages. They've been in the wardrobe. They're Suzanne pajamas.
Worn them before or
no,
funeral
I've only
specific?
worn them once when we did a segment for Studio 10 where we did the funeral and the eulogy and everything. It was hysterical, except the funniest thing was at the end of the segment, I couldn't get out of the coffin because I'm short in the body and I've got no upper strength. And I said, I can't get out, help me out. And the funeral bloke said, oh, no, we only put them in, we don't get them out.
Yeah, it's not a skill you prepare for in the funeral industry, getting people out of coffins.
Because we did the whole segment. I've got the esky full of ice with champagne in it, and I made a long straw. The straw goes into the champagne and then that goes into my mouth.
Excellent.
And depending on what happens, open coffin, because you look better when you're dead anyway.
Of course.
They do a lovely job.
Have you changed your plans over the years? This was first done a few years ago. Have you changed your perspective on what your funeral should look like over the years?
Not really, except I've thought of a couple more songs, but I'll just go with the ones that I've got there.
All right, that's a great segue. Let's talk music. The first decision is the soundtrack, Denise. What's getting played at your funeral?
My Sharona. My Sharona.
We don't have enough money for music rights, so this is perfect. Let's keep going.
We better stop there. And then Take It to the Limit by the Eagles.
Oh, cracking track.
Which is a great song, great lyrics.
And probably reflective of your life in some way, Denise.
Yeah.
Have you ever, across all of the crazy cool shit you've done, thought, I'm looking at the edge now and yeah, I'm pretty close to the limit here?
Well, when you look at my age, there's more behind than ahead.
Before we leave music, some of our younger watchers may not know that before there was Denise, the TV star and comedian, there was Denise, the singer and the dancer. Take us back there. What was your history with music?
Well, I started dancing when I was 3.5. That was because Mum and Dad had a pub and it was 6 o'clock closing, where the swill. And so off I went to dancing. And then I started at Channel 9 on the Tarak show when I was 10. I was there for 4 years and then I left. And I left school because I was taught by the nuns. I didn't like them. They didn't like me because I was the devil's work dancing. And so then I auditioned for the senior ballet, which was Graham Kennedy's in Melbourne Tonight. And so I did that. So that's where the dancing came in. Then I did a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. Then Commotion started. And so I've been terribly lucky to segue into jobs, and that's happened all my life. I'm the luckiest person.
Are there particular moments where you look back and think, what would have been different if I'd have taken the red pill rather than the blue pill? Obviously, moving from singing to dancing was one of the.
What are you talking about, blue pills? No. There was only one thing I thought of recently. When I was in London, I had an introduction to the guy who ran Butlin's holiday camps, which is where Cliff Richards and all of those people started. And I went in to see him and he offered me a job straight away. And I'd only just arrived in London and I went, oh, no, I'm with my boyfriend. And he said, no, I only need one. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't take it. So it could have been different. But that's the only real big difference.
Music sorted. We've got My Sharona. What's on the menu, Denise? What's on the menu at your funeral?
A good chicken sandwich afterwards.
Nice.
Maybe with mayo and avocado.
Cracking.
And please put some salt and pepper on them. They're always a bit tasteless. So, yeah, just something like that, something that's easy to eat.
You've got a long history in food generally. Your dad, you were telling me, had a roast chicken bar.
That's right.
You've had a TV show or a segment cooking. What's your relationship with food been over the journey?
Oh, I love it and I love cooking. I cook for the kids still. I always cook as though there's still 10 people. And if I cook a roast for myself, I've got 4 plates of roast dinners that just go to all, it's like Meals on Wheels. No, cooking I love. I love the cooking. And my favourite show is MasterChef.
Oh, yes.
Because, I love that all the contestants and the judges are all lovely to one another. No nastiness. There's no need for it. That's why I don't like a lot of the reality shows when they start yelling and, who are you? Give it a break, get a life.
Are there any particular dishes? Obviously, food was a big part of your childhood and your upbringing. Any particular dishes that sort of just bring back the memories of that period of your life?
There was a place called Velardo's that used to have, it was a steak place. It's still open. This is in the 60s. And they used to have little sausages, little kefkis they were called. And he used to make his own potato salad and his own mustard. And it was just that meal. If I could have that meal like twice a week, that would be it.
That's it.
Fabulous.
That's the one. Ding Dong Does Dinner, classic part of
Ding Dong. That was Dig and Dine. Did you see that? Did you know anything
No,
about that?
No, nothing.
Oh, we did Dig and Dine.
Oh, what was that?
That was a gardening and cooking show.
Oh, right.
And guess where we did it? They sold it to the Springvale Crematorium.
Is that right?
We did a show out there. It was hysterical.
What did you cook out there?
I forget. We didn't use the ovens, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But no, we did. We did gardening because really it's a beautiful place because it's got everything. It's got a Buddhist garden, Japanese garden.
Lovely.
It's really fabulous.
Beautiful.
But I couldn't believe it when they said, your next show's at the Springvale Crematorium.
What are the highlights of Ding Dong Does Dinner? Any guests or any particular dishes that you recall?
We used to have people, we did it for Channel 31 and we'd have people drop out the morning of the taping. So we'd just drive around the streets and sometimes I'd stop at a building site and cook them something for the segment and whack it into the show.
You did a segment with Albo as well, I think, before Albo was Prime Minister.
That was the spaghetti one.
Any good in the kitchen, Albo?
He was fine and he was a gentleman because we had the spaghetti in our mouths.
How close did you get?
And he went about 2 inches away.
Is that the appropriate? That's the appropriate amount?
I think that was perfect.
Music sorted, food sorted. Let's talk shrine. At your funeral, there'll be a shrine to Denise Drysdale.
Will there?
I hope so. Most funerals there are. What do you want on it? What are the items or the mementos from your career, Denise, that you want on the table?
I think the gold logies and definitely the stamp.
Yep.
That was the highlight. Well, I can't say it's one of the highlights, but to get that stamp, I just wish Mum and Dad had been alive because they would have been so chuffed.
I was looking up this morning how many people have been immortalised on a stamp. I couldn't find it, but I'd bet there wouldn't be many. It must be quite significant to you looking back and being memorialised on a stamp.
It was. There were 5 people and they were all from Channel 9. And it was Peter Wynn that sort of got that together, and so it's because of him.
Have you ever just received a mail in the letter randomly with your face as the stamp?
No, but I did send all because I still pay by cheque.
Okay.
So when I send out a cheque, I
put your stamp on it.
Stamp
fantastic.
It's gone up now. That's $1.50.
Your stamp?
I think I'm only $1.
Oh, really? It would be a surreal moment if one day you just get a random bill in the mail and your stamp is across it.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
We've got the logies on the table. We've got the stamps on the table. Any particular photos that stand out from your life that you'd want displayed there?
I'd like all the ones where I'm doing something stupid, upside down in a what are those suits when the mad people
Straight jackets?
Straight jackets, upside down a straight jacket. They're all there. They're all the photos.
You've got multiple of these? Multiple in straight jackets?
No, just one. But they were all segments on the show with Frank Holden. And every week I was doing something. Quasimodo, the hunchback, that's a good one. I love that photo and I think I'd have that one there.
We're moving on from photos to highlight reel. At some point in the funeral, your life will be played back on screen. You've done some incredible things, had some amazing moments. Is there 1 or 2 moments that you'd love everyone to look back and relive one more time?
Oh, I don't know. It's just like I've been so lucky, so many moments, like gold record, 2 logies, 2 just different things like that. The kids, grandkids, just all of it. There's no sort of, it's all special, so nothing sort of stands out to me like that.
I remember reading as I was planning this interview, you were quoted somewhere as saying your time on Hey Hate Saturday was the best thing that ever happened to you, that your career wouldn't have been the same without it. Tell us how that came to be and what the impact of that was on your career.
Well, I hadn't done national television for a long time. And I'd been doing TV on, bits and pieces and still doing shows. And so being back on Hey Hey, that was a really successful show, just put me out there again.
And then after that, it was back to in Melbourne Tonight. Was that right? That was the next.
That was it. There was a few bits and pieces in between. I was actually working with Ernie on the morning show during that time as well. Yeah, that finished about 96, and we did IMT. Then I went to Channel 7.
Not to end the highlight section on a low light, but regret generally, how do you deal with it? Are regrets a thing for you? And then if so, is there a particular moment in life you'd like a do-over with?
No regrets. Useless. It's just a negative emotion that takes up your energy. But I've suffered, like everybody else, I think, ups and downs mentally as well, but I try not to put myself in a negative situation now.
Is there a particular moment in time that you can pinpoint where you said, you know what, this regret stuff, it's not working for me, I'm going to put a wall up here?
Not really. And the other one is jealousy. Oh, that's a killer. And I suffered when I was younger with boyfriends and things. That is such a wasted emotion.
Yeah.
Get over it. Don't spend any time on that one.
Easy to say, hard to do. How did you
get
over it?
You just have to do it because it's no use. It gets you nowhere. Drags you back rather than bringing you forward.
Yeah. Time to go to speeches. Your eulogy, Denise, in a fantastic twist for this show, you've actually had yours pre-recorded.
I have.
Tell us how that happened, who it is, what do they say about you?
When I got my prepaid funeral, I rang Father Bob Maguire, which is a well-known priest. He's passed now. And I did say to him at the time, I said, you're older than me, you'll probably go first, but I want you to do my eulogy. So he taped it, and it's quite spiritual, to be honest. I thought, I have known Father Bob since I was a kid because we lived in Port Melbourne. He was in South Melbourne at the church there. So he's buried, christened, married, a lot of friends.
Oh, wow.
So he's been a constant all through my life. And so, yeah, he was quite happy to do that.
Have you watched the tape? What does he say about you?
Only once.
Yeah? What does he say about you?
Oh, he just says, no, it's all Christian-y stuff. I thought it'd be funny because they did a night for him where they honoured him, and I dressed up as a nun. And what did he call me? Sister Mary of the Gumboots or something, some stupid thing.
Would you consider yourself, are you a religious person yourself?
I'd like to think that there's something out there because I can't believe that we just go, where in essence does our spirit that makes us that one little thing? Maybe it just is a star. Who knows? That's what all those billions of stars are.
Would you record your own eulogy at all and play that for people?
I have thought about doing that, going, yeah, well, it's finally happened. I'm off.
What would you say?
Just remember, she's not dead. She's just tired. Because I came in here today. I came in and said, I'm tired. That's all I've said in all my life. I think I've been tired.
So Father Bob's spoken, you've spoken. It's open mic night at your funeral.
God.
Everyone's had a few champers and they're
I could hardly wait.
They're feeling chatty, Denise. What do you hope they get up and say about you?
Just the funny things and the stupid bloody bits and pieces that we got up to. That's all. We did that with my mum. We had there were only about 10 people because she was up in Warrigal at the time. And we all sat round with UDL cans. And I've looked around and somebody's put a UDL can because she's like a vodka and orange.
Yeah.
And we all talked about it. And these were all people that used to come and look after Mum when Mum was there and Dad had the stroke and I was off working. And so they used to tell me all the stories about, as soon as I walked out the door and was in the car, she'd be on the phone saying, can you bring me a bottle of brandy round? But I'd already left her 2 bottles, but she was just, and all these stories that came up, I knew nothing about. So that's what I'd like, all those stories that I, you know nothing about to come out.
What about on the public side? You've lived your life in the public eye. Do you think about your legacy? Do you care about your legacy at all, how you're remembered by those who've watched you from behind a TV screen?
I hope that they just look and say she did her best, and I try to give my best each time I work, and they're so lovely, the audience. I get a lot of love from them, and I really appreciate the life that they've given me, because if you haven't got an audience, you haven't got a job. But I hope that they think, yeah, she made us laugh.
The Australian TV or the Australian public can be fickle. They love you or they hate you. What do you think it is that's connected so many people so deeply to you over 6 decades in the public eye?
Well, because I've grown up with them, starting so young.
Yeah.
And all the shows that they've watched, I've grown up with them. They know everything about me, you know, and they know if you've bought a new piece of jewellery. It's amazing.
And it strikes me that what you see on TV is probably what you would see if you were to rock up to Denise's house on a Friday afternoon. So there's an element of authenticity there that perhaps connects you to people. I think
it's because I'm too lazy to be anything else.
Words to live by. Last question for you, Denise. What will be your epitaph? What do you want written as your epitaph?
I want for my children are kind, for my grandchildren to be kind. If do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If we all lived like that every day, in little things, the world would be a better place. And that's what I wanted to pass on to my kids, my grandkids especially.
What about for those that are, you know, entering the entertainment industry, watching this podcast, because, you know, we've done 6 of these now, so it's the place to come for tips and tricks for young people starting out. What advice would you have to your younger self or to others that are just starting out in the entertainment industry?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer, but I was a dancer. I didn't have much of a voice at all. And I used to offer my services for nothing. They'd bring in the bands to Commotion and we'd do the show because we used to mime to other people's records. And I used to get to the promoters that were putting on the dances and go, can I come to your dance and sing? I'll do it for nothing. So I did it for nothing until finally I got paid for it. And the thing is now these kids, they want $1 million with no work. They just want to be able to go, nah. Oh, there's $1 million. It doesn't
work that way?
No. You've got to put in the work. And you've got to be persistent too because it's harder now. These kids get on to all these shows like the singing shows.
Yeah.
They've got to be brilliant.
Yeah.
They've got no learning ground. All those shows have gone where they could come on and sing and make a mistake. Now you've got to go on and be perfect. It's really hard.
Speaking of working hard and being persistent, what motivates you at this point? You've done so much, achieved so much. What motivates you to take the next gig, do the next show, continue to connect with audiences in the way that you are?
I love the fact that I'm paid.
Cash is cash, baby.
Yeah, but look, once I'm on stage and I've got a joke that I do at the top and they start laughing and then we have an hour and a quarter of fun.
Yep.
And I feel terrific after it, especially if I've done a good one. Sometimes, if I haven't done a job for a while, it's all over the shop. But no one knows. But I know when it's a really good show.
I can't think of a better place to leave it than that. Denise, you're so generous with your time. I hope your funeral is many, many, many years away. But when it happens, it sounds like it'll be. I'm
tired now.
It sounds like it'll be a ripper. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Sam, for having me.